So last night on the newest edition of Tuesday Night Titans, at the end, one of the things that JD from NY206 of Off the Script and Solomonster, Jason Solomon of Solomonster Sounds Off, one of the things they do at the end of that show and at the end of the reviews of, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, you name it, and even the pay-per-views, PLEs, is they take a lot of super chat questions. They answer those questions. Sometimes they'll answer those questions in the middle of the show if somebody hits them with a massive $100 plus bomb. But be that as it may, I asked two questions. And the primary question I asked was about Rhea and Liv. And I asked whether or not they think that this perhaps goes back further than just the injury angle. Like mainly it goes back to the night that Rhea broke up their tag team. And JD, he didn't rule it out. He said maybe. He basically said that's something they could, tap into if they want to. And Jason kind of agreed somewhat, but mainly said that they should focus on what it's, primarily about as we see it, and that's the injury angle, thus causing, Liv to do this revenge tour, which is now Rhea's brutality revenge tour or brutality tour. And, I'm cool with, their answers, their response to my question, but it's good to know that in their own way, they're not, totally, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not totally, shoving it under the bus. They're not totally ex-naying, that's what I was trying to say, ex-naying the possibility that this whole thing with Liv and Rhea could be so much more than just the injury. Because as we have seen under Triple H, since he's taken over, him and his creative team like to tap into a lot of other things that, we may not think is one of the reasons, so-and-so is feuding with so-and-so. We think, we thought that Pete Dunne, feuding with Sheamus is because he felt that Sheamus had abandoned him and Ridge Holland, in the Brawling Brutes, to fend for themselves. But it goes back more. It goes back even further, or goes even further, even deeper, if you will, to the fact that Pete blames Sheamus not just for that, but for him being called Butch, which he does not want to hear ever again. And to me, that makes sense. Because I think what you're seeing here in story with Pete Dunne, and by the way, Pete Dunne is doing two storylines as we speak, simultaneously, one on NXT, somewhat with Trick Williams, and one with Sheamus on Raw. So give him credit there. But what I'm getting at, basically, here with Pete, is, you have somebody, that, when you really think about it, because they could, add more on to this to really give you a legitimate reason, maybe get it from Sheamus' side as to what's going on. Pete Dunne not only blames him for abandoning the Brawling Brutes to fend for themselves, but he also blames him for, Dunne that is, being called Butch. But in fact, maybe we have Sheamus come out and say, look, man, I tried to fight for you to be Pete Dunne. I tried to tell the old regime, maybe, or the old administration, that used to be in charge. He said, I used to tell them, let him be Pete. Let him be Pete Dunne. But that the old administration, the people running it, didn't think it was gimmicky enough or didn't feel like it could make money, on a T-shirt, like Butch could. That, we could get that reason. We could get that reason. But initially, we thought mainly it was because Pete blamed Sheamus for abandoning the Brawling Brutes when he did. And you could also have Sheamus say, hey, look, I was injured. What was I supposed to do? I couldn't be there with you if I was injured. That could be something else as well. But again, we initially thought it was that but now we're seeing there's a little bit more to it than what we initially thought. And I like that. I really do. I mean, and the same thing goes for the New Day Final Testament situation. You know, we all thought the whole New Day feuding with the Final Testament and Karrion Kross trying to be the manipulator, the instigator of a potential separation, breakup of the New Day was getting stale and boring. But now you add in Odyssey Jones, and now you're seeing Xavier kind of, you know, contemplate, like, you know, maybe Karrion's right, or maybe he's right, but he's also wrong. Like, now you have Xavier questioning whether or not the New Day could still function, you know, in this new form, or maybe it's time for him to go his separate ways. Who knows? Who knows? But now that you add Odyssey Jones to it, and you add in Xavier's motions, or facial expressions and body motions, you have a story there. And maybe if they don't totally separate them yet, you could have some kind of argument, and maybe Xavier looks at Kofi, looks at Odyssey, and says, it don't matter. It says, and maybe Xavier says something along the lines of, hey, you know, I don't know why you didn't consult with me, but as far as I'm concerned, it seems to me you're trying to replace Big E, and we made a vow that if Big E ever comes back, you know, ever gets, you know, cleared and comes back, we would continue off where we would continue where we left off. You know, maybe Xavier gets to that point to where it's not a total separation or a total breakup, but he makes it known that he looks at Odyssey Jones as Kofi's way of replacing Big E. And maybe you incorporate Big E into it, and Big E's like, look, man, I know you want me back in the ring, but the doctors have said that I can't get back in the ring, you know, for who knows how long. So I approve of Odyssey being here. You know, I pass the torch to him. Maybe we get to that point. But we'll find out next week when they do the 6-man tag. We'll find out next week. But again, there are some things, honestly, that you wouldn't think would have more layers added onto it to make them more interesting, to get you more invested. You know, you wouldn't think that was the case, but with some of what I just mentioned, you kind of have to think that maybe when it comes to Liv and Rhea, you know, it's going to be one of those situations to where basically maybe there is more to it than just the injury angle. Maybe when they do the contract signing, you know, to make the potential match at Bad Blood, which could be Hell in a Cell, official, maybe you just have Liv come out and say, hey, you think this whole thing is about you just injuring me and, you know, me wanting to get revenge? No. You can have Liv during that time say, this actually goes back to the night right here on Raw where you broke up our team, and I've never gotten over it since. You can have Liv do that. You can have Liv tie it all together in that moment to where she lets Rhea know, you know, that she has had this festering, this anger towards her festering inside for a couple of years because of what Rhea did, because she thought Rhea was her friend and everything. And that, you know, even afterwards, she tried to move on, find new partners, but it just wasn't the same. And maybe you have Liv even acknowledge that the one thing she values more than anything is friendship. And that she doesn't take rejection very well. You know, you could do that. You could tie that all in. And then you could have Rhea be like, in response, upon hearing this, be like, well, Liv, you think I wanted to break up our tag team? You see, I only broke up our team because you wouldn't listen to me. You know, you can have her, you know, emphasize what she said a couple of weeks ago in her promo prior to SummerSlam. That the reason she attacked Liv and put her out for a couple of months is because she would not stay out of her business. She would tell Liv, stay out of my business or else something's going to happen. And Liv didn't listen. You can have Rhea emphasize that during that moment, saying, hey, I didn't want to break up our tag team, but you wouldn't listen to me. You wouldn't tag me in so that we could get, you know, the victories we needed. You know, that could be something that happens. You could tie in this entire history with them, you know, not just with the injury angle, but with everything else that's occurred. You could tie it in all into, you could tie it all into this one, finale that's going to happen, or at least semi-finale, that's going to happen at Bad Blood. You could do that. You could do that because, again, it's something that really would emphasize that there is more to this than just the injury angle. There's more to this than just the injury angle. And I think it would be great. And I think it would be, in my personal opinion, I think it would really add more to it. Now, do they have to do it? No. But when you really think about it, if Liv just wanted revenge for being injured, shouldn't taking the women's world title and re-injuring Rhea back be enough? Why does she want more? You have to ask yourself that question. Why does she want more? And I think the reason she wants more is this goes back further. This goes back a lot further. And I have a feeling when they sit down and they do that contract signing, that's going to happen to officially make that match at Bad Blood, that finale, that potential Hell in a Cell, whatever kind of gimmicky, hardcore-like match it's going to be. That's when we're going to get the entire revelation from Liv. We're going to find out that it goes beyond the injury, and it goes back to when Rhea broke up their tag team, and she hasn't gotten over it since. No matter how much she's tried to move on with other partners, she's never gotten over it because she considered Rhea a very close personal friend, and when Rhea broke up their tag team, she broke her heart, and she does not take rejection very well. So I could see them maybe, having Liv, put that into perspective, or, add that into the equation so that this all comes full circle. And then, like I said, you could have Rhea's response be like, hey, like I told you before, in the past, to stay out of my business before I took you out for a couple of months, the same thing applies to when we were a team. I told you, tag me in, listen to what I say, but you didn't do it. So you could. So to me, you can, really highlight that history between all of them and between both of them, which would basically stem from what happened a couple of years ago. But we'll have to see what they do. But to me, again, if you're a wrestling fan, if not a sports entertainment fan, casual or hardcore, you would think, okay, she got her revenge, she re-injured Rhea, she got the women's title, that should be enough, but she wants more? You would start thinking, there's more to this than what's being led on. And I think it has to do with what happened a couple of years ago. But that's just me. But out of the other examples I used of what we're getting with the other story elements on Raw, and somewhat on SmackDown, but mostly on Raw, where this is taking place, with the other story elements being, the other story elements that I mentioned being highlighted in their own way, what makes you think this Rhea Liv won't acknowledge what happened a few years ago when the moment is right? I'm just saying. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know down below in the comment section. Let me know if you agree with me, or do you think maybe it should just stick with being about the injury? Let me know, comment below. Check out my Teespring store. Link is in the description. Also, click on the links in the description to find me at other places like SpotifyForPodcasters.com and so on. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. And until next time, guys, I'll talk to you later.